Believe it or not, but you started your kitesurfing journey back at that time. I'm going to prove it to you with the swing theory. All the countless hours on the swing will pay off now. I firmly believe that kitesurfing is so popular and so addictive because it takes us back to the same exact state of childhood. It's a safe and careless sport that allows us to have our time of our life again. My name is Zolty, and this is another weird tutorial that's going to live rent-free in your head for the rest of your life. This is the way we teach jumping, and it works surprisingly well. By now, Epic Gust has 3 locations around the world, and we tested it in lighter, stronger, and every wind. It helps my students to progress faster and safer towards higher jumps with proper landings. Getting airborne, frankly, is very easy in kitesurfing. When a rider gets flinged up into the air because he moved the kite up, a kite jump is a controlled sequence of tension building, kite movement, takeoff, followed by a graceful flying period and with a proper landing. The tricky part of this is that these elements slightly overlap, so timing and execution is really key. It is simple, yet it is not easy. My students practice these steps separately, and then we fill them together one by one. We have to start riding actively. If active riding says nothing to you, I want you to stop this video and watch my active riding video first. Active riding gives us better kite control because we have more line tension and therefore we have more power available to use. My students first practicing active passive riding on both directions. A handful of times left and right, going very actively, generating that good line tension and then coming up passive. The key here is to ride actively without going much more upwind. This is essentially the movement that generates lift on our kite. It's important to keep your bar at the lower half or close to you when you send the kite out. When the kite goes up fast, it accelerates and therefore it produces more power. So you will need to even that power out by letting the bar more and more out. We do this not with a single move, but rather progressively. And we sheet out for 2 reasons. The first one is to be able to hold our edge while the kite is in the rising phase. The second one is to let the kite accelerate even more. Because when your bar is out, the kite goes through the wind window much faster. Don't pull the bar yet in. I tell my students to just feel that moment when the pull becomes lift, because this is the moment when we're going to add the pop. But to get this moment, we need practice first. It's very crucial that I make them understand that line tension is important. However, if we send the kite not up, but against ourselves, we feel a lot of line tension, yet it won't create lift. This is a pretty complicated one, and I already made a video about it, which I want you to watch if the pop concept for you is not 100% clear. The pop has to be executed when the upstroke arrives just above you and the kite pull becomes lift. It has to be effortless and elegant. And now, my friend, comes the exciting part, the swing theory. At the moment of the takeoff, think of it that you are on the swinging back phase on a swing. As you take off and you swing your legs back and your whole body against the kite, well, eventually you generate way more lift. Much like on a swing, timing is key. Keep the swing theory in your mind before and after this takeoff. Once you take off, you want those legs to go behind you and hold those legs as long behind as you can. If you would jump upwards, you will essentially create slack on the lines, which you won't feel, but the power will immediately gone and you will swing under the kite. But if you swing back well at the moment of the takeoff, even if the jump is small, your air time is generally triples. What you will feel is the kite is holding you, therefore the landing will be much smoother too.
And notice as he jumps, his takeoff line remains in the front of him, even just for a second. If this is missing, the crash is almost guaranteed.
Basically, until you keep your legs backwards, you are in this backswing phase. On the swing, feel that you are hanging on the harness. Never feel that you're doing a pull-up or you really have to muscle it down. Essentially, a jump can be done with two fingers. So be light here, feel that you're hanging through the harness and keep the bar down. At the peak, sheet it out a little bit. The fifth phase is landing. Well, probably that's one of the most difficult parts. Stay relaxed in the air, and when you feel you start to descending, all you're going to do is generate a forward move with the kite. This forward move will pull you out from your fall and will give you momentum so you can land with some speed and softly. Many beginners do in the beginning that they keep the kite only on 12 pretty passively and they sheet out the bar. Once they're landing, they crank it back in. But I want them to think the proper way from the beginning, and to generate power on a kite is always with a movement. So therefore, we want to send the kite forward, and once we are about to land and the kite is already pulling us forward, we sheet the bar in and we land gracefully. The soft landing, just like in the whole jump, timing is key. You want that power to kick in just before you're touching down. It's nice to extend your legs, looking for the water, kind of searching for it, and once you feel it's coming, you gently bend your legs, using them as a landing gear. You want to land towards the kite. Don't try to catch edge immediately. You're going to land on your feet, get riding a little bit downwind towards the kite, and as you feel everything is alright, which happens in a very short time frame, you will be able to put gradual edge and start catching the upwind right again. If you're patient enough to practice these steps separately, I guarantee you your jumps will be very clean and actually quite big from the early stages on. Don't rush. Watch this video if you really want to understand how to go high and what's the physics behind it. I think we're done here, so remember one thing, never grow up.